initiatives we will begin this spring. BBU staff at almost every sale that will occur, as long as that satellite or marketing group or individual will allow us to, BBU staff will be in attendance and conducting really basic understanding performance workshops the day before sale. And one of the reasons we thought the sale venues, and particularly the day before the sale, would be the place to do this is because that's great interaction, grassroots time for us and the membership. So Colin, the very first, to me, the very first step of understanding performance, a lot of people go straight to EPDs and ultrasound. And to me, before we actually can talk about EPDs, there are a lot of things that any cattleman needs to understand, the very basics. For lack of a better description, Performance 101 would be the information that we collect that feed the EPD prediction model.
We do want to start with the 101 program, and it's basically going to be the collection and what our basic data points are. We're talking birth weights, calving E scores, udder and teat scores, weaning weights, yearling weights, and how we go about collecting that data, where we can use that data and how that data fits into our system, and helps us to generate and move closer to EPDs in terms of generating those ratios from within the contemporary groups and just the basic level of information that everybody would need to start with.
There's a reason why we ask for that particular weight at that particular time. For example, weaning weight. The vast majority of commercial feeder cattle in the United States, they're sold at weaning time. So when BBU asks you to submit a weaning weight, the relevance to that is because our customer that's selling their cattle at that point in time, that's a major revenue factor.
I'm going to back up a step and talk about birth weight and the calving ease process that we go through. We ask for that information because that to most people, that's one of the most important aspects is getting a live calf on the ground. So if there's nothing else that we can do, if we can give calving ease scores to help generate some more information on that particular set of genetics, it gives those buyers and commercial producers out there the peace of mind to know that there's some information that backs up the data that we have in our system. Yes, the BIF standards have been put in place by that governing body or organization according to what the accepted practices are within the industry. And those aren't just coming from producer A or somebody on the West Coast or East Coast or North or South. That's coming from industry professionals. The information and the scientific research has gone into collecting this information is very vast, and BIF is constantly trying to upgrade that information for us. But they put those standards in place so that we can, as a beef industry, we can kind of set the standard of what needs to be done to generate the information we need to later on build those EPDs and give the credit to those animals that deserve it, and give that peace of mind and information to the buyers to help predict where those cattle may go in the future. And those standards that BIF sets out there, they're across the board. They're vast, from, like we talked about, birth weight and calving ease on the front end, all the way down to the carcass traits and carcass quality at harvest time. And we're always adding more. Constantly, there's a university and professionals that are researching information, if it's from feed efficiency to the new genomic enhanced EPDs that are out there, and setting the standards for this process by which these data points are collected. And then once they're collected under a standard that's kind of been set by the organization, then they can go in and help us further that data and use that data in a better way.
I'm really looking forward to you, the BBU membership, being able to come and learn and participate. Especially with Performance 101, because before we even start talking about EPDs and carcass evaluations, it is so vital that the membership understand why we ask for the information that we do, and that's what the first installment of this program is. As it was put once in a quote from a beef extension specialist from North Dakota State University, in order to use EPDs, the producer does not need to know how the intimate formulas, the very complex computations are, how they evolved. What the producer needs to know is EPDs are highly accurate and they're the fastest way to improve a trait. With that in mind, lesson number 2, we call it Performance 201, we will begin to touch on EPDs as we go into these workshops. And we will talk about the individual traits. As a matter of fact, Colin, what are the traits that we currently build EPDs for BBU?
Currently, we have birth weight, weaning weight, and yearling weight, our standard growth traits. We also have milk EPD as well as a scroll circumference EPD, and those are our standards that have been with the association and calculated within the association for years. In the last few years, we've included the ultrasound traits, ultrasound carcass traits, and we mainly focus on our ribeye area EPDs and our IMF or intramuscular fat EPDs. We also calculate back fat, rib fat, area, and rump fat. But those two are not what we probably want most of our guys to focus on when we're discussing our ultrasound EPDs, but mainly focus on our IMF trait and our REA trait.
Let's for our purposes, let's talk now about what I call the production traits. We'll elaborate on ultrasound in a different section, but currently, given the traits that we're selecting and computing EPDs for, without a doubt, those are the basic economic traits that the entire industry uses, regardless of breed. Every breed calculates that information, and every customer out there, the very knowledgeable commercial cattlemen, they're using these EPDs.
Yes, they are.
As selection tools when they're buying genetics. One of the key components that we will touch on in Performance 201 is how do we use EPD at the purebred level, and then how our customers view EPDs and how they use them.
We can use birth weight, for example. If we know that we have some daughters out of a sire that has some moderate to higher birth weight information, then we can use that to adjust our birth weight back so we don't get into a bind later down the road. We can use a lower EPD for that animal, or find a sire that has lower EPDs and help adjust that back just to make those moderate changes that are out there.
Without a doubt, the fastest genetic improvement you can make for any of the traits are by utilizing the EPDs. And a lot of people, they kind of get lost in the weeds, so to speak, that they're looking at individual pieces and parts of the big number, when the true fastest way to make genetic improvement is to use that particular EPD. There's a great quote in an ultrasound article that ran in the February issue of the Cowman. Mark Henry, the manager of the Cup Lab, there's a quote in there that he come up with, that if you really want to make the fastest genetic improvement for any trait, use the EPD. It'll get you there faster.